Imagine a world where your navigation apps cease to function, not just for a moment, but indefinitely. This isn't a sci-fi premise, it's a very real vulnerability facing our globally interconnected systems. The Global Positioning System, or GPS, underpins far more than just finding your way home. It's a silent, invisible utility, a critical infrastructure that dictates the very rhythm of modern life. What would happen if this invisible pillar of precision suddenly vanished tomorrow? Experts contend the immediate aftermath would not be mere inconvenience, but a cascading systemic failure, triggering disruptions on an unprecedented scale. The most immediate and visible impact would be felt in the skies. Aviation relies heavily on GPS for precise navigation, landing procedures, and air traffic control synchronization. Reports from aviation analysts, like those at the International Air Transport Association, estimate that over 70% of commercial flights globally utilize GPS for primary navigation. A sudden disappearance would render modern aircraft effectively blind. Pilots would revert to older, less efficient, and significantly slower ground-based navigation systems, such as VOR and DME, if those were even still fully operational or maintained. The immediate directive would be grounding, creating an unprecedented global air travel halt. Beyond individual aircraft, the entire air traffic control network relies on GPS for precise time synchronization and positioning data to manage crowded airspaces. Without this, maintaining safe separation between aircraft becomes exponentially more challenging. The U.S. Federal Aviation Administration, for instance, has invested heavily in GPS-dependent systems like NextGen, designed to increase efficiency and safety. Industry reports suggest that within hours of a GPS outage, controllers would struggle to track flights accurately, forcing immediate flight cancellations and diversions. This wouldn't just be inconvenient, it would be a critical safety issue leading to a near-total shutdown of commercial aviation operations worldwide. If the skies are hit, the seas would not be spared. Global maritime shipping, responsible for transporting roughly 90% of the world's goods, is critically dependent on GPS for navigation and collision avoidance. Modern container ships and tankers use GPS-fed electronic chart display and information systems, or ECDIS, to plot courses and navigate congested waterways. A sudden loss of this data would force vessels to rely on celestial navigation, radar, and paper charts, tools that are slower, less precise, and require highly skilled navigators, many of whom are no longer routinely trained in these traditional methods. The risk of collisions and groundings would skyrocket. The disruption to maritime shipping would precipitate a global supply chain catastrophe. From raw materials to finished goods, the intricate just-in-time delivery systems that underpin modern manufacturing and retail rely on predictable shipping schedules. Without GPS, vessels would experience significant delays, leading to port congestion, perishable goods spoiling, and factories halting production due to lack of components. Industry reports suggest that even a few days of widespread maritime disruption could cost the global economy billions, triggering shortages of essential goods, from pharmaceuticals to consumer electronics. This would have profound and immediate macroeconomic consequences, felt by every household. Perhaps less obvious, but equally critical, is GPS's role in the global financial system. High-frequency trading, timestamping of transactions, and network synchronization across exchanges all rely on the precise timing signals broadcast by GPS satellites. These signals provide nanosecond accuracy, ensuring that transactions are recorded in the correct order and preventing fraud. Reports from financial regulators, like the SEC, have highlighted this vulnerability, noting that without accurate time synchronization, the integrity of financial markets would quickly erode. Within hours, the automated systems that execute trillions of dollars in daily trades would become unstable, leading to potential market halts. The backbone of modern financial markets, high-frequency trading, HFT, would grind to a halt. HFT algorithms depend on microsecond precision to exploit minute price differences across various exchanges. Without a unified, synchronized time source like GPS, ensuring all market participants operate on the same clock becomes impossible. This could lead to a time arbitration problem, where discrepancies in reported transaction times could be exploited, or worse, lead to system-wide errors. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security has identified this as a critical infrastructure vulnerability. The disruption would extend beyond HFT, impacting everything from credit card processing to ATM networks, as their underlying systems also require precise timing. Our reliance on GPS extends even to the devices in our pockets. Cellular networks, from 4G to 5G, require precise time synchronization for their base stations to hand off calls and data seamlessly. Each cellular tower needs to operate on a highly accurate clock, often synchronized by GPS. Without this timing signal, according to telecommunication industry estimates, cellular networks would begin to degrade within hours and could fail completely within 72 hours. This isn't just about making calls, it means internet access, emergency services via mobile, and all data-driven communication would cease to function across vast regions, plunging billions into a communications blackout. The impact of a cellular network failure would be profound and immediate. Emergency services, which increasingly rely on precise location data from mobile devices to dispatch aid, would be severely hampered. Businesses that depend on mobile data for operations, from point-of-sale systems to logistics tracking, would halt. Social communication, a cornerstone of modern society, would revert to older, less efficient forms. While some terrestrial synchronization methods exist, they are often less precise, less robust, and not universally deployed. This widespread communication failure would escalate societal anxiety and hinder any coordinated disaster response efforts, as reported by FEMA in its contingency planning documents. For military operations, GPS is not merely a convenience, it's a strategic imperative. Precision-guided munitions, drone operations, troop movements, and intelligence gathering all hinge on GPS accuracy. A sudden loss would render smart weapons largely inoperable, force drones to manual or pre-programmed flight, and severely complicate logistical coordination. Military analysts from think tanks like RAND Corporation consistently highlight GPS as a single point of failure in modern warfare. While alternative inertial navigation systems exist, they drift over time and require periodic GPS recalibration. The outcome would be a dramatic reduction in operational effectiveness and a critical impairment of global defense capabilities, profoundly shifting the balance of power. Consider the U.S. military's Joint Direct Attack Munition, or JDAM, which transforms dumb bombs into highly accurate, all-weather precision-guided weapons using GPS. Without GPS, these weapons revert to their unguided state, dramatically increasing collateral damage risk and reducing tactical advantage. Similarly, reconnaissance drones, critical for real-time intelligence, would struggle with precise positioning and data transmission. While militaries do have contingency plans, including encrypted terrestrial signals and advanced inertial navigation, the sheer scale of GPS reliance means such alternatives could not seamlessly replace the system's widespread integration. This scenario would plunge military strategists into a crisis of unprecedented proportions, as documented by defense journals. The disappearance of GPS would hit ordinary citizens with surprising force. Ride-sharing services like Uber and Lyft would cease to function, as drivers and passengers would be unable to connect or navigate. Delivery services, from food to packages, would face severe delays or outright cancellation. Emergency services like 911 or 112, which often rely on automatic location identification from mobile devices, would lose crucial initial information, making response times slower and less effective. Even mundane activities like checking traffic or finding a local business would become incredibly difficult, as mapping applications would be useless. The pervasive nature of GPS means its absence would dismantle layers of convenience and safety we take for granted. Modern agriculture, particularly in developed nations, relies heavily on GPS for precision farming techniques. Tractors use GPS to guide themselves with centimeter accuracy, optimizing planting, fertilizing, and harvesting, reducing waste, and increasing yields. Agricultural economists estimate that precision farming can increase crop yields by 10 to 15% while reducing input costs. Without GPS, these automated systems would fail, requiring farmers to revert to older, less efficient, and more labor-intensive methods. This shift would inevitably lead to decreased productivity, higher costs, and potentially significant impacts on global food supplies, as highlighted in reports by the Food and Agriculture Organization. Beyond the more obvious sectors, GPS provides critical timing signals for various other infrastructure components. Electrical grids rely on these precise signals for synchronization, helping to prevent blackouts and manage power distribution across vast networks. Telecommunication networks, not just cellular, use GPS for timing backbone operations. Even traffic light systems in some smart cities are synchronized using GPS data to optimize flow. A widespread loss of GPS would expose these hidden dependencies, leading to potential power grid instability, further communication failures, and exacerbated urban congestion, as warned by national infrastructure security agencies. The cumulative economic impact of a GPS disappearance would be staggering. With aviation grounded, shipping paralyzed, financial markets in disarray, and communications disrupted, global trade would seize up. Economists from institutions like the London School of Economics have estimated that the daily cost to the global economy could run into tens of billions of dollars, quickly escalating into trillions over weeks. Supply chain breakdowns would lead to widespread shortages and inflation, triggering a deep global recession. The loss of productivity and the sheer cost of rebuilding or replacing GPS-dependent infrastructure would reshape the economic landscape for decades. This isn't just about money, it's about livelihood and stability. Consider the ripple effect: factories cannot receive raw materials, finished products cannot be shipped, and consumers cannot purchase goods. This paralysis would cascade across every sector. Major trading blocs would see their internal and external commerce severely hampered. For example, the European Union's intricate single market, relying on seamless logistics, would face unprecedented hurdles. Nations heavily dependent on imports for food, energy, or manufacturing components would be particularly vulnerable, leading to geopolitical tensions and potential humanitarian crises. This scenario, while hypothetical, underscores the fragility of our highly optimized, interconnected global trade system, a system built largely upon the silent assurance of GPS. Beyond economic collapse, the absence of GPS could trigger profound geopolitical instability. Nations with advanced, GPS-reliant militaries would find their capabilities severely degraded, potentially creating power vacuums or inviting aggression from adversaries who either possess independent navigation systems or are less reliant on such technology. The scramble for alternative navigation and timing solutions would become a matter of national security, potentially leading to technological arms races. International cooperation, already strained, would face immense pressure as nations prioritized their own survival, possibly leading to trade wars and resource conflicts. This presents a scenario of unprecedented global disarray, as assessed by political scientists. While the scale of GPS reliance is vast, some contingency plans exist. Terrestrial navigation systems like eLORAN, a modernized version of LORAN, offer a non-satellite-based backup for navigation and timing. However, eLORAN infrastructure is not globally deployed and requires significant investment to become a viable widespread alternative. Similarly, atomic clocks on the ground can provide precise timing, but their reach is localized. The challenge lies in the sheer ubiquity of GPS integration. Replacing or supplementing this global utility with localized, terrestrial systems would be a monumental undertaking, requiring decades and trillions of dollars, according to infrastructure analysts, and would not be an immediate fix. The very precision that GPS provides is derived from the atomic clocks onboard its satellites. On the ground, national metrology institutes maintain highly stable atomic clocks, serving as the ultimate reference for timekeeping. These sophisticated devices are crucial for scientific research and calibrating other timing systems. In a GPS-absent world, these ground-based atomic clocks would become even more paramount, serving as isolated islands of accuracy. However, disseminating their precise time signals across vast geographical areas and to billions of devices without satellite-based infrastructure remains a significant, unsolved challenge for immediate deployment, as experts in chronometry have repeatedly noted. The scenario of a GPS disappearance highlights a fundamental vulnerability: our profound dependence on a single, albeit robust, satellite constellation. While the likelihood of a complete and sudden GPS outage due to natural causes like solar flares is low, and malicious attacks are difficult, the systemic risks underscore the need for greater resilience. Investing in redundant, diverse, and complementary positioning, navigation, and timing (PNT) systems is crucial. This includes supporting terrestrial alternatives, developing more robust inertial navigation technologies, and fostering international collaboration on resilient PNT infrastructure. As noted by the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine, diversifying PNT sources is not an option, but an imperative for national security and economic stability. From guiding commercial jets and container ships, to synchronizing financial transactions and powering our smartphones, GPS is an unseen yet indispensable foundation of modern civilization. Its disappearance would trigger not merely inconvenience, but a cascade of systemic failures across nearly every critical sector. The ensuing chaos would disrupt global trade, cripple financial markets, silence communications, and redefine military capabilities. This deep dive serves as a stark reminder of our precarious dependence on a technology we often take for granted, urging us to consider the resilience of the systems that silently orchestrate our interconnected world.